leadership is about leading. It's about leading from the front. It's never about leading from behind. So making sure that you're always doing the little things, making sure you're always asking the right questions. And then I think being present. I think leaders are always present. It's not often that, you see your dad sleeping on Christmas. He's usually the first one up. He was the one putting the tree up, and then he's the one waking up, making breakfast.
Right.
So I guess as far as leadership goes, just kind of having that spirit of, always alive, always awake, always aware, always making sure that things are getting taken care of. Because you got a lot of things that you gotta, worry about, especially the bigger your team, the more things you gotta, kind of spread out.
Welcome to the Nicholas Brown Podcast, a podcast talk show about real estate investing, business leadership, and personal development. Each week, we explore current real-life case studies about how to build financial independence through investing in real estate to build your personal portfolio through passive income models, along with interviews from the top business leaders and personal development leaders. Now, here's your host, Nicholas Brown.
All right, ladies and gents, welcome to the show. I got another episode of the series, Business Leadership Series. But before we begin, it's very important you want to do this, especially if you listen to a podcast, you're working out during the afternoons or mornings or the evenings or whatever. This is a great source or a great podcast episode to listen to. So make sure you guys download whatever podcast platform you're part of. Make sure you download this and play this over and over, because this leader here is available nationwide in the States. He can help you and guide you and educate you on that. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. You can watch this. I watch YouTube's videos when I'm working out or whatever, or I'm trying to get some stimulus, as we said, something positive in my brain. I'll watch stuff such as this before. So that's the purpose of subscribing if you're watching this on YouTube, and that's the purpose of downloading and subscribing if you listen to a podcast. So what I'm going to do is, as you guys know, I'm going to read the About section, and then we're going to get straight to it, because this is a treat. This is an educational treat too, I promise you. So today's guest is Dane Fuentes. Dan is one of the nation's top advertising marketing consultant, and he helps clients achieve their advertising and marketing objectives with on-air radio across 425 stations in 86 markets, alongside thousands of podcasts. Dan has a degree in advertising from UNT and has been an account executive for over 5 years. Dan also uses promotions and events to activate locally with live broadcasts and remotes with VIP access, exclusive experiences, concerts, charity events, sweepstakes, and contests. Last but not least, his campaigns include digital marketing through video, targeted email, geo-targeting, retargeting, social media management, SEO, SEM, site development, and reputation management, and more. For more information, you can reach out to Dan on his LinkedIn. So reach out, which is LinkedIn is Dan, DANE FUENTES. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nick. I appreciate it, man. Couldn't be more excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you, man. I appreciate you coming. And as I always plug, ladies and gentlemen, on most of my episodes, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is free. LinkedIn is powerful. LinkedIn has quality people such as Dan. It's a good network. And would you agree, Dan?
Absolutely, man. Any free platform is the one you got to be on.
That's right. That's right. But this is positive. That's how me and Dan met also on LinkedIn. So, Dan, welcome to the show. Like I said, you're going to be my guest business leader, business leadership. It's a leadership series. It's a series 2, but this episode, I appreciate you coming. But what we do on this show here, Dan, which I love to get you on other shows in time because of your niche, your authority figure, your experience in marketing and advertising. We just want the listeners and people that are watching to get to know you a little bit. So we focus on 3 things: motivate, teach, and get a perspective. So what motivated you to get in that field?
So I was always in sales ever since I was a little kid.
Okay.
You know, I was always trying to sell my family on, you know, a vacation, you know, a new dog, whatever it is, you know, that, you know, I thought would benefit our family, that would, you know, help us out, make us have fun. But also I was always like, I was the kid turning off the lights at the house when no one was in the room. So I was always conscious. I was like, here's what we need, here's what we want, you know, here's what it costs. So I was always aware of that from a really young age. I also always loved like, you know, family style. So I was always trying to get everyone involved, everyone to be, you know, happy, make sure everyone got their own little piece of whatever it was. So definitely that. And then when I saw the TV show Mad Men and I saw kind of how advertising worked when I was in high school, I was like, hey, that's something I want to try out. That's something I want to do, because what you're doing is you are selling advertising, you're selling an idea, you're selling a concept. So I was really motivated to kind of take the two together and find out, you know, how can I help people? How can I get people to a point where they want to be? How can I help them achieve their goals? Because there's so much abundance in this world. There's,
That's
you know,
right.
so much opportunity. There's so much different things that people can do. And, you know, it kind of goes into the second part, the teaching and learning. Once you can help motivate people, then they're able to learn, and then they're able to do. So, you know, it's kind of 3 steps. And I've always, you know, really loved that process, breaking down very complex ideas, funneling them down into one specific thing. Because at the end of the day, you know, keep it simple and sexy. You got to make it
That's
easy
right.
for people. You got to make it easy for people. So,
That's good. Yeah,
yeah,
keep it
once you
simple and
can get,
sexy. You don't believe
yeah,
I'm the same way. I don't use the stupid because it's not a stupid. I don't believe it's stupid. I say keep it simple system. Keep it simple system because it is a system. If you keep it
yeah,
simple for that system, you can pass it on to the next person and build it on. And now you're compounding. Would you agree?
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
is attractive, so it is sexy, as you say. Keep it keep it simple and sexy.
Yeah,
So
in advertising, it's always got to be the best. You know,
right.
you don't need a big huge logo. You need a little tiny logo in the corner. You need one little tiny line of copy, and you need your image. That's, you know, that's the crux of advertising is getting a big idea and just distilling it down. So
Tell them this
absolutely.
though, Dane. Tell them this. Do you have the entrepreneur spirit?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think really anyone in sales, you know, they have to have that entrepreneurial spirit.
I agree.
I'm working with a guy right now. He's starting a board game. It's called Dartboard Football.
Okay.
And, you know, he was telling me, he's like, hey, look, you know, I'm starting this business and I didn't realize this, but I am now a salesperson. And as an entrepreneur, you know, sales is everything. If you can't generate revenue, if you can't
Right.
generate sales, you know, it doesn't matter how
Can't
good
keep the
you
door
are at,
open. Right.
yeah,
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
matter how good you are at getting costs down, like you got to make sales. So as an entrepreneurial spirit, I'm also on a nonprofit. So making sure that, you know, I help people get things taken care of, making sure that the ball never gets dropped. You really just got to be proactive, and that's really what the entrepreneurial spirit is about, is just always putting forth your best effort, trying to see things before they happen, and just making sure that people can always rely on you and you be
Mhm.
there. And then a lot of times people say, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. It's so good that you were able to do that, to help on that, because if we hadn't, you know, there would have been major pitfalls. So
Okay.
the sales side and making sure that, you know, making sure the train gets across the tracks is that's really what entrepreneurs do. That's what leaders do. You know, that's what you do. That's why you're here hosting this
Thank you.
podcast. So
Thank you,
you can
brother.
connect.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Thanks everyone for listening. You're listening to the Nicholas Brown podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Logan,
I'm Clyde.
and you're listening to the Nicholas Brown podcast.
Yes.
So
People.
you hit straight. Normally I ask this in the middle of the episodes or the videos or whatever recording, but we're gonna jump back into it because you fall into that question. So what is a leader to you then? That's the question. What is leadership to you? What is leadership to you, Dane?
Yeah, so I've played sports ever since I was growing up. My dad, he was always a coach. He was always involved with making sure that the team was always good, making sure everyone was happy, always leading by example, never putting people down. So I've really seen that, and I've always tried to gravitate towards that. I think when I was younger, I was a little bit more immature, and now that I'm a little bit older, it kind of clicked. It was like, hey, look, leadership is about leading. It's about leading from the front. It's never about leading from behind. So making sure that you're always doing the little things, making sure you're always asking the right questions, and then I think being present. I think leaders are always present. It's not often that, you see your dad sleeping on Christmas. He's usually the first one up. He was the one putting the tree up, and then he's the one waking up, making breakfast.
Right.
So I guess as far as leadership goes, just kind of having that spirit of, always alive, always awake, always aware, always making sure that things are getting taken care of. Because you got a lot of things that you gotta, worry about, especially the bigger your team, the more things you gotta, kind of spread out. So
well, you
a lot
awesome,
different,
man. You awesome.
yeah, a lot different than delegation. A lot different than delegation.
Yeah,
so.
but if you keep it simple and sexy, it builds on. You can compound. If you have a template, you can spread that. Oh, now you got momentum going. Now you can delegate it to other leaders that are like-minded to you. Where now you have culture. You got a culture team. Would you agree on that? If someone learn your way,
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times
They know your
I
mission.
think
Everybody have culture. It's not pushy. It's a pull in the group that we all want to push each other to get to that next level.
absolutely. Yeah. And it all starts with leadership. Everything always starts with leadership, from sports teams to, media companies. It's all the leader. When you see the leader working hard, they're the first one in the office, it really motivates you to, do the same thing, to say, I want to be where they're at. I want to be doing what they're doing. I want that same success. I see it.
Awesome.
Now I just need to do it.
Let me ask you this then, because your dad, tell your dad hello, man. He's an awesome guy because he raised you, man. So how do you adjust? Do you feel like a leader has to adjust? How have you adjusted? Because you've been in leadership roles. You was an entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen. He used to, he used to throw papers. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He threw papers like I threw papers, whatever. Which that's kind of way out now. But my point is, how do you have to adjust sometime as a leader?
Yeah, I
With the group
mean,
and everything.
especially, being a leader, definitely you have to adjust. There's so many things that you won't see coming. There's so many roadblocks that happen, and that's just human nature, that things go wrong. And being able to overcome and adapt, and saying, okay, I had this plan, things didn't really work out the way I did, but I know one of the things you talk about is perspective. So having perspective is really, really important to be able to adjust, because if you get super locked in and you say, okay, I had this idea and it didn't work, you can't stop. You gotta be a shark. So sharks always swim forward. They cannot swim backwards. So they're apex.
Rhino. Gotta have that rhino. You got thick skin and keep charging.
Yeah. So you always
got
gotta be moving forward, always gotta be prepared for the unexpected. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you answering that. So motivation, what motivated you to get in advertising? We kind of got off on there. How'd you lead to the advertising field? Because you're a great account executive for advertising. How'd you get in the field? And ladies and gentlemen, we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I want you to explain the company that you're with, because I appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I want to have him on another episode where he can get more in depth and teach you and motivate you guys and teach you some steps and answer some questions. Leave a review while you guys are watching in on YouTube or you're listening in on your podcast. Leave a review. Leave us a review and leave questions. That way, when we do another episode or whenever Dan is part of the group, he'll answer that for you. He'd be happy to answer that. But what got you into, you was explaining that, what got you into the, as an account executive for radio advertising and marketing? What got you into that? What brought you to that?
Yeah, so I originally thought that I was going to be a psychologist, and I realized, I was like, holy cow, I can't go to school for 8 years. I was like, I love college, but man, I cannot do this for 8 years. Like, there's like, this is fun, but I gotta get out here in like 4 years. So
Okay.
I started looking around and I was like, oh, well, there's a lot of psychology in selling, and there's a lot of psychology in advertising, and there's also a lot of psychology in media. So I got a traditional media degree from school. We learned about news sources, how information is disseminated, how messages are disseminated, and kind of the way that things spread with ideas. And it really got me thinking. It was like, as big as the world is, there's only like 4 or 5 big media companies that run like the TV industry.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
so
That's
it's
that's in
like,
the know. That's
yeah.
something you're teaching us.
So it's like you got these 5 old guys who are all controlling all the information. They're all involved in politics and the government, and there's always 2 sides of every story. So on one
Right.
side, you got to tell a story, and then when it comes to kind of like government, they're like, okay, well, if we, sorry,
It's okay.
if we tell this story, what could go wrong, what could go right. And it really comes down to, leadership. People got to make those decisions. They got to say, this is right, this is wrong. And, unfortunately, a lot of people are kind of left with the consequences of either one. So I think, as entrepreneurs, it's really important to be self-thinking, to be able to get your own information, to go and seek out resources to help you out, because there is a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of, bad people, bad actors out
Right,
there. And,
right.
it's our job as leaders to kind of get the word out, to say, hey, look, like, this is the right thing, and this is the right time. So that's actually something my dad taught me. He always said,
That's
hey,
awesome.
he said, ask yourself, am I doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time? And if you can't answer yes to any of those, then you need to do something else.
That's awesome.
So
And
you
you
gotta
get
be making sure you're on point.
okay. So
This is Kobe Zinn from the FLA podcast, and you're listening to the Nicholas Brown Podcast Show.
based on you took psychology, right?
I did, yeah.
You
So
studied that, right? I'm gonna get
yeah,
to a
so
point.
I got my minor in psychology, and
Okay,
then I got my
that's
degree
fine.
in advertising,
My
which is
daughter's
part of
doing that too. She's doing part of that on there.
yeah.
Go Texas A&M. But
Oh,
my point,
awesome.
yeah, Aggie. My point is, don't you think did you read on history about advertising? Did you have to study that advertising and marketing, the history of that, and have you read that, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so it's evolving. Would you agree that everything's evolving? So when you had advertisement in the papers, all that's changed. It's kind of veering away now, right? So Dallas Morning News, they have to adjust, or they're going to be adjusted and vaporized, right? They're going to be pure story now. So you have to adjust. So since you've been in the market, I just want to prove a point, ladies and gentlemen. You've been an account executive for over 5 years now. Has things starting to adjust? Is that things starting to change as we speak now? Since 5 years from now, since you started?
Yeah, so things definitely ebb and flow. There's a lot of data on where people are getting their information, what media they consume. Recently, as of now, TikTok is like some 50 or 60% people are going to TikTok to learn something.
Even the
So
demographics with me, that's why I say we're gonna do another episode. We got so many things we can, because I love marketing and advertising like you do too, and the listeners here, they're business owners, or they're part of the account executive. They want to learn this too. My point is, my demographics are 40 and above, 40 and 50 above, because of my age. People are moving on to TikTok. My demographics, am I right? But it's not just about dancing. People don't realize that it's not just about dancing fancy on TikToks. Am I correct?
yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the biggest things I always tell people, and this kind of goes into your question,
Sure.
is the more things change, the more they stay the same. So that's
Explain
something
that
that I
then.
learned. What's
Break
that?
that down. Explain it to the listeners and the people watching.
Yeah, so this also goes into systems. So with advertising, marketing, you got 3 parts. You got your platform, you got your person, and you got your message.
Okay.
The
I got you.
person
Got
that
you.
you're sending that message to those are never going to be changing. If you got brand, if you want a new customer, something like that might be. But let's just say you have an idea, you've got brand, and you're like, this is exactly the person I want. This is exactly the message that I want to tell them. Though that 60%, 66% of the equation does not change. The only thing that changes is the platform, the medium that you're delivering that message on. So,
Gotcha.
if you were to advertise to someone and, they needed a new pair of underwear or something, you could go put that thing in the newspaper back in the 50s, but now you might be putting that on TikTok. But it should be the same thing. These are the most comfortable underwear.
Yeah, how you structure
you're never going to get a wedgie if you wear our underwear.
Right,
it's like, well, I want that. So,
so it's basically the platform where the demographics would be. So you may not reach as many. You just got, which I love data. It's come to data on there where you're going to reach them though, but you want to be everywhere. So give them some tips. Teach them something that we're about to close, because I want to respect your time, man. I know we can do probably another hour or so. That's why I said we're about done, ladies and gentlemen, because he has another meeting, and I appreciate his time. Give us some tips. You pretty much gave us some tips on there. What's the tip for a new business owner, and what type of people do you look to work with? I'm thinking it's pretty.
So
pretty broad.
I read a stat, and it said that 22 to 30% of businesses had business plans and or marketing plans. And one of my biggest influences on like how I think and how I act and what I do is Sun Tzu, The Art of War.
Wow,
So,
really?
Yeah.
That's an awesome book, man. You ever saw did you see the video? Have you saw the movie?
I haven't seen the movie.
I'm gonna
No,
give you
there's
that.
a movie?
I'm gonna give you that YouTube, man. YouTube link where he had the Chinese ladies. They want to listen to the guy, the general. He told them to pick something up. The eight. It was 4 of them across, just going across, horizontal. He told them to pick something. He just gave them a command. 3 of the people followed the command. The first person didn't follow the command, so he gave her 2 more tries. He gave her 1 more try. Then the 3rd try, chopped the head off, man. But he's just trying to prove a point, though. But I love Sun Tzu, man. I love the quotes, though, man. But
and I think the biggest thing is like when you have a plan, when you have a strategy, and you can kind of implement those things, those are going to be the biggest things as a business owner. You're going to be pulled in so many different directions. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, and the end of the year, you need to say, did I accomplish my plan? And it doesn't matter if you did or you didn't. What matters is that you're able to build those pillars and to build past that. Because if you don't know where you're going, you'll never know when you get there.
That's right, man. That book is so awesome, man. It tells so many stories, but it tells how different types of generals in different ways they led their team. But it was for a point also, because as you said earlier in this video, it's a mission. We're trying to go forward. So, but oh, that's deep. So Sun Tzu, that's awesome. So you taught us something, right? You gave a little lesson. What's your perspective on today's what type of business people are you looking for? That's where I'm going for the perspective. Whether do you work with new business owners or you do with corporations? What are you looking for? Because you do the advertising market on radios, correct?
Yeah. So we have a ton of tools in the tool belt. The way we treat our advertisers who spend $5 million is the same way we treat our advertisers who spend $5,000.
Okay.
What we do is we come in, we sit down, we say, what have you done in the past? What do you need to accomplish in the next year? And we sit down and we find out the strategy and we say, hey, here's exactly the tools that we can do to help you achieve these goals that you have. So we don't necessarily have an ideal customer. We're looking for people. We're looking for people who want to learn, who want to grow, who want to push the envelope, who are not satisfied with just being mediocre. One of the things I always tell people, I'm like, hey, look, let's say your business goes bankrupt. If you spent $500,000 on advertising and you go bankrupt, what's the difference between going bankrupt and not spending on advertising? And they're like, well, I guess at the end of the day, you still go bankrupt. And it's like, well, if you, try to get your name out there, you try and get your message out there, you try and build on something, you're going to be a lot further than just sitting in the mud and, not doing anything. So
Exposure. That's
yeah,
the key is, ladies and gentlemen, if you spent that 500 in advertising, you're getting exposure. So even if you did get bankruptcy, you still have some form of exposure that you use that to leverage that. You have so many eyeballs and people know about your brand where you can go back to that platform, as he said earlier, and announce that, hey, I'm right back into business. I had these challenges here. Feel free to reach out to me. Am I correct?
absolutely. Yes, sir.
So that's the example, which, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue this because he's over. How many stations are you? What? Give him the stations or that.
Yeah,
four?
so we got 6 stations here in Dallas. We got our sports station, The Ticket. We've got New Country as well as 995 The Wolf. So we own the only 2 country stations in Dallas Fort Worth. We got Hot, which is a contemporary hit station, and then we got 2 talk stations, which is WBAP and Cliff AM. So if you guys listen to any of those, give me a shout. We love to talk to listeners. And then we've got over 425 across the U.S. So
That's what I was about to ask. So you
yeah,
can't wait
anyone in any
nationwide.
market
Okay.
can help you out.
Okay, so you can have someone who's listening or watching this in San Diego compared to anyone that's watching in right across from Florida or something like that. You can help them out. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm running a hiring campaign for someone right now in Alabama.
Really?
So yeah, they're stationed. I think in North Carolina. They're running ads in Dallas, Texas. They're running ads in Alabama, and they're hiring. So they're getting their name out there. They're telling people about what they do, who they need to hire. And that's a huge thing right now is we're helping people hire. We're helping people get manpower, helping people get back in the driver's seat of, getting that business bus down the road. So if you don't got a bus driver, you can't get there. So
That's right.
this is Dane Fuentes with Cumulus Media, and you guys are listening to the Nicholas Brown Podcast Show.
This, ladies and gentlemen, while you're watching and listening, this is the purpose of, if you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's on the B&I side. This is your source. This is your authority figure that'll get out there for the radio, and you touch base with him because he's your source. He's your eyes. I always say one eye is king of the blind. He's the one that's going to lead you. He's going to lead you forward. He's not going to burn bridges. He's here for the long term, but he's going to multiply your efforts. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Radio.
Absolutely.
So that's the
Yeah.
goal. So it's not a one-time thing with him. He's here to build a bridge with you. He's not successful unless you're successful, but his niche is advertising, the radio, and digital marketing. And he sees the trends that's what's going on, and he's gonna come back to you and give you advice or give you alert of what to do and what not to do. Am I correct?
Yeah. If we can't help you out, I'm part of a nonprofit called the Alliance for Women in Media.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, I got a whole group of people that are close to me that I trust that have been, doing this for a long time. So if I don't know the answer, if I don't know what to do, if I don't have the tools, I'm going to send you to the right place every single time. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna send you a plan. I'm gonna say, hey, here's what you need to do. Who's here you need to go to, and they'll be able to help you out. So if I can't help you out, I'll get you a plan. I'll get you in the right place. Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/Dane Fuentes. You can search me. You can go to the Alliance for Women in Media. Dallas Fort Worth is the local one. If you're in advertising or media and you want to get connected with the group, it is a national group as well.
Really? Okay. So they're
and then-
nationwide. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then people can go to cumulus.com to learn more. So if there's a station that you're looking at in your market, it'll show you all the markets that we have, all the stations.
I
as
want
well
to
as-
reach out to you. So I'm going to make
Yeah.
sure I put that. If I go to Cumulus, it's going to be broad, but I want to make sure if they're listening and watch, I want them to connect to you. So I'm going to make sure that
Yeah.
it
So
happens on
find
there.
me on LinkedIn, email me at dane.fuentes@cumulus.com, or I'll just give out my cell phone number, 214-938-3966. Call me,
Wow.
FaceTime me. I'm always working. So we're here to help, here to serve.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear that? And ladies and gentlemen watching that, he's ready, man. He has the it. Keep it simple, sexy. That's awesome, man. He making it simple for you guys. Anything that they need when they call you or reach out to you. What's the purpose on there? Because it's all about purpose, momentum. What's needed? Because I want them to be prepared, especially if people's watching this. So if I'm working out and I'm interested in doing your business, anything you need from me when I call you or reach out to you, anything I need to be prepared.
I would just say have a plan, know what you've done and know what you need. I think if people call me, I can point them in the right direction.
Okay.
I've worked with almost 100 different types of businesses in my history.
Okay.
So anywhere from Army recruiting to, local bars and restaurants to big national companies who, are multi-markets. So like I was saying before, it's all about having a plan. You got your message, you've got your platform, and you've got your person. So if you know any of those three pieces, you want to learn more about them, I can definitely help you out and get you moving in the right direction. So all it takes is making the phone call. As an entrepreneur, everyone's there for themselves. You can get people to help you, but at the end of the day, you got to take the first step. Whatever the quote is about walking 1,000 miles, it starts with the first step. So
That's right. You're strong, man. You're strong.
Yeah, you take that first step, I'll be able to help you out. And if I can't, I'll point you in the right direction.
Awesome. He do what it takes, ladies and gentlemen. Any family members in the military?
No one in the military.
You're strong. That's what I'm saying. You're very straight, man. You got this stuff in order, man.
My family was always in law enforcement and first responders.
That's awesome, man. You got that drive that you want to help people. You want to do what it takes, man. That's what I was saying. That's strong, man. That stands out, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on, Dan.
Yeah.
Man. I want to get you back on another episode if you don't mind. We will get you back on very soon, man.
Well, I appreciate your time, Nick. You keep on keeping on, and I can't wait for the next one. I hope the listeners enjoyed this one.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As I said before, I always end. Don't condemn, don't complain, because you have a choice to make a change. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on the Nicholas Brown Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, www.nickbrowninc.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like this show and you are a new real estate investor, then check out one of Nicholas's free reports called the Wholesale Dominator Report, also located on our website, www.nickbrowninc.com/free reports. Be sure to tune in for our next episode. And remember, don't condemn, don't complain, because you have a choice to make a change. Have a great day.